Hello, my fellow comic book collectors. This is going to be another in my series of controversial comics. And this one is it's just really crazy. I didn't realize how crazy it was until I got it and started reading the comic. It's Mickey Mouse Annual number 3. And this is from 1934. So a very different time period. And you got to take that context and understand this comic because it is a very different era. Now, one of the things that this comic does is it has like the typical controversial African tribal character. And that's what I thought when I bought this comic. I actually thought that that was the reason why it was considered controversial. But that's not the reason. I thought that was the reason. But it's not. It's actually way more. It's way worse. It's way worse than that. So here I'll show you the scene. So it all starts with a black outlook. So this is the story, and I'm not sure if you can see it, but I'll read a little bit of it. Wow. Okay, when you get older, your eyesight really fades. So with my contacts, I can barely read stuff. Once on an island of Washidu, Mickey went fishing with, and Minnie went too. Cheese they prefer, but out of course you agree, nobody hopes to get cheese from the sea. Fishing proved futile, but hunger intense kept both our friends a worm in suspense. Quite unsuspecting that danger was near, Minnie felt somebody was pulling her ear. Okay, so that's the first page. Not too controversial. You got little tribal African guy in the background there. You can maybe see it. I'm trying to zoom in as much as I can so you can see it clearly. Little tribal thing. Typical, the way that they kind of depicted, the tribal Africans at that time. It was sort of a standard stereotype with the bone in the hair and the sort of the big lips and the sort of standard. But this is where things go horribly wrong. Horribly wrong. So you can see here, and I'll read some of it. Mickey turned around, received such a fright, shut both his eyes, and moved clean out of sight. And you can see the next word. So I'm not sure if you can read that, but it's basically he uses the N-word at this point, and he uses it repeatedly. It's like N-word or Minnie could nowhere be found when Mickey bobbed up and began to look around. Braving the dangers lurked in the trees. Mickey wore holes in his elbows and knees. Holes made by Minnie's high heels in the sand showed the way so that he followed the band. And poor little Minnie, her future obscure, wondering now how long these fierce, and then N-word again, would chew her, rushing her home to be for dinner. Minnie grew thinner and thinner and thinner. Okay? So basically the whole thing is like, it uses the N-word throughout. Like it's quite frequent that it refers to, black Africans as N. So just to give a little bit of context, this book is interesting to me because of the historical context. A lot of people don't really know this. Actually, I did a lot of research into the N-word, believe it or not, because I saw this video by Thomas Sowell. And he basically explained the history of the N-word. He actually wrote a book on it. And it wasn't the history that you might expect. It wasn't that the N-word that we refer to the N as the N-word nowadays, because if you say it, you get into big hot water. And I don't want to get this channel striked, so I don't want to use the word. But it was, for a long time, not a bad word. It was one of those words that actually referred to black people, just the way you would say black people. You just use N-word. And it was only in the 40s, in the 1940s, after this book, way after, not because of this book, but after, that the context of the word changed. And people started using it in a negative, they saw it as a negative word. And, people, if you were white, you're not allowed to say it at all. But still within the black community, they used it all the time. And they still, to this day, use the word all the time. But as a white person, you're not allowed to say it for some weird reason. So the point is, at the time of this book, it was not considered controversial to say that word. It was not that they were using it in a negative way or anything like that. But Disney, this book is kind of considered that very taboo book because it uses the word frequently, and it has these depictions of, sort of the stereotype of the African tribal person. And, it's one of those controversial comics. Maybe not a typical comic because it is a book, but it's about 60 pages. It looks very thick, but each page is like really, really thick. So yeah, it's very interesting to see that how words change over time, and how people's attitudes towards language and towards other cultures has changed over the time. And sometimes we gotta look at history and kind of look at it with that open eyes, and not be so judgmental that we say, oh, they must have been really racist back then. I don't believe that they were trying to be racist. I don't believe that they were trying to do anything bad. It's just different times and different attitudes towards certain words. So I hope this video has been interesting. I think it's funny whenever you get like some really innocent character like Mickey Mouse, and there's this huge controversy around it. So this one is one that if you try to bring to Disney World, maybe they would be like, oh, we don't know that book. It's one that they really don't want people to know about, but it is one of the ones that's in their history. So very cool comic to get, book I should say. And I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. Please check out my other videos. Maybe not all my videos are controversial, but I hope you enjoyed this one. Thanks. Bye.